The Goons are back at it again on Crunch Time. Mad Max and Kruck are live right now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into episode 49 of Crunch Time. Max and I did not split up as in went separate ways on the podcast. We split up as going separate ways for spring break. He is actually down in Houston, Texas, and he will be joining us later in the broadcast for, I believe it is NBA and men's college basketball. But right now I'm joined in the booth with Papa Kruck. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Weather's beautiful down here in Arizona, and we are just loving it.
All right, and then later on, we will have another fun topic. We've kind of been jipping you guys lately on them, but we're bringing it back, and I think this one's going to be really fun. We're doing a bracket style of MLB ballpark foods, what they're basically known for.
Oh, and that looks like just fun to me because that stuff looks awesome.
All right, and then let's jump right into things. We're going to start things off with college basketball. We're starting off on the women's side because we're giving Max the men's side, and Selection Sunday was yesterday, so the brackets are officially set. And what are some positions on this bracket that you thought might have been a little bit disrespectful to some teams or a little bit favorable to other teams?
Well, I'm honestly, being a Big Ten fan, I'm honestly surprised at the number of Big Ten teams that made it in. I'm surprised Illinois made it in. They're just not playing good ball right now. And Ohio State was deserving of the number 3 ranking they got. And I'm telling you right now, they're a dangerous team in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at the number 1 seeds, we all knew South Carolina going undefeated through the regular season was going to get a 1 seed. Indiana being the other 1 seed in Greenville. Coming down to Seattle 4, it's going to be Stanford, and Seattle 3, it's going to be Virginia Tech. And, I've been doing this for the entirety of women's college basketball, and I don't think I've ever talked about Virginia Tech being a team to beat. But are they really all that? Are they up to par?
Honestly, I can't say I've watched that much of them, but they're going to have probably one of the toughest ways to get to the Final Four because, sitting there is Iowa State, who played really good basketball this year. They've got Tennessee. Can never count out Tennessee. The ghost of Pat down there helping them out. I just don't see Virginia Tech getting out. I don't see them getting the Final Four myself.
Looking at the two Seattle divisions, I'd like to see UConn come out of Seattle 3, and I'd like to see Iowa come out of Seattle 4. I think Stanford's going to end up beating Iowa, but you would know this because she's my sister and your daughter. When Andrea went down to state for her 3-point shooting, she faced off against a girl named Kylie Feuerbach, who is number 4 on Iowa, lethal 3-point shooter for them. And I think Iowa has a good chance.
You can't count out Caitlin Clark. That girl is truly amazing. If she's not the player of the year this year, there's something fixed.
But we talked about it in the previous podcast. There have been 8 teams in women's NCAA history that have gone undefeated through the regular season and March Madness. Do you think we have another one this year in South Carolina?
No. I guess yes. South Carolina is my pick to win. Just for the fact that watching them play, they control not only the tempo of the game, they control the flow of the game. And it's amazing how that group of girls can do it. And it's just, there's unfortunately this year, there's a number of elite teams, and then there's the rest of the field. And I'm not dishing the rest of the field, but the elite girls teams are head and shoulders above the rest. And I'm sorry.
So looking at the brackets, we all know 5-12 seeds are upset city, 8-9s are upsets. What are some big upsets in the opening round of 64 that you think, the round of 64 that you think are going to be upsets and wipe out some brackets?
Well, I'm cheering for Iona to beat Duke just because I cheer for anybody to beat Duke. And, that's a 14-3 seed. It could happen. The other one I was looking at was sitting here, Michigan girls are playing subpar right now, and UNLV could jump up and surprise them. UNLV is an 11 seed. They could jump up and beat Michigan.
One of the upsets I'm looking at is in Seattle 3, if I do believe. Yes, it is Baylor getting upsetted by Bama. I think that is going to be a pretty big upset because I think Bama has been playing really good ball lately. Their leadership's well. They're doing a great job rebounding the ball as well. I think Baylor just had a little bit easier of a schedule and made their way in there. Another upset that I can see happening, we talk about the men's team a lot with Gonzaga, but I think their women's team is up to par as well. It is an 8-9 seed, so it's not a huge upset, but I see Ole Miss losing to Gonzaga in the round of 64.
Well, I do have to ask you this question because I know you and I banter back and forth, but your UConn girls are ranked got a number 2 seeding.
I mean, yeah, they're number 2, but I have yet to count them out. I see them going to the Final Four, and I see them actually beating Indiana and making it to the championship. And I see it being UConn versus South Carolina in the national championship. And I'd like to say UConn wins that because I've had the pleasure of meeting Gino Auriemma. But, I mean, South Carolina right now is a team to be afraid of, if you will. They're showing no weakness right now, whether it's rebounding, assisting, steals, or getting points. They're not showing any weakness, so it's going to be tough to beat them. But out of any team on this bracket, I think it's either going to be Stanford or UConn that ends up beating them.
All right, well, let's bring it right to the end here, Jacob. Who are your Final Four teams?
My Final Four is going to be South Carolina, Stanford, UConn, and then the hardest one is going to be that Greenville 2, because honestly, I can see Utah beating Indiana before the Final Four. I see two seeds coming out of the right side of the bracket and 2 1 seeds out of the left side of the bracket.
Well, I agree with a couple of them. First of all, I believe South Carolina is going to be there, and I believe they're going to win it all. I think South Carolina is going to have to beat Iowa in the Final Four, and Indiana is going to have to beat Ohio State. And yes, I am a Big Ten fan, but that's also the way the bracket's set up. I think they can all make it.
So you got Ohio State as a 3 seed going to the Final Four.
Yep.
All right, we're going to send it down to Houston. We're going to give it to Max Williams. Max, take it away.
Hey, Max.
Podcast, we're not in person, but, I'm in Houston, man, and I'm excited, bro, to talk to you about some March Madness and NBA talk, but right now I'm just going to talk to you about the bracket, man. Looking at it, there's been some interesting picks, bro. I mean, looking at this bracket, some of the teams I'm dangerous watching right now is the 12 seed Charleston versus San Diego State. I think that one's an interesting 12-5 matchup. If you look at it, Charleston is 31-3, and they got some big-time players, Kruck. And San Diego State, they can play defense pretty well, but I think Charleston can find a way to beat them, and that could be a matchup to watch because they look like they most likely would play Virginia or Foreman. And Virginia, they got into the ACC tournament. They were a team that was probably high hopes for this season, but kind of just fell off because Duke beat them in the championship game. So I think Virginia and Charleston could match up into the round of 32. That could be a team to watch out for. But we look at it, the number 1 seeds, though, still consist of Alabama, Houston, Kansas, and then Purdue in the East region. And Alabama's in the South. Houston will be the number 1 seed in the Midwest. And then Kansas will be the number 1 seed in the West, which is kind of weird, right? If you're Kansas, you probably wanted to be in the Midwest region, right? Because you get a chance to play in Kansas City. I mean, come on, why would you not want to play in Kansas City and enjoy that atmosphere? So I think that's going to be probably a little bit making Kansas a little bit mad going into the tournament play. Looking at some of those teams, though, that I'm watching, let's see, another team that could be interesting, the Kent State versus Indiana game. That's a good 13 versus 4 matchup. I think looking at it, Kent State is a team that's coming into the tournament. They just won the MAC championship, and they got a great player in Sincere Carey that can shoot the ball from 3-point range. And they got a great, valuable player, and a player I knew personally in Jared Sullinger. Now they got another guy in Jalen Sullinger. That's kind of the other brother of Jared Sullinger. And I think that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch with Kent State as they go into tournament play. But a team that I'm watching, especially in the Midwest region specifically, is Penn State. Penn State is a team that is coming in hot. They just got into the Big Ten championship game, and they're playing Texas A&M in the first round. But they have to play Texas, which is a team that right now is hot in the Big 12. They just won the Big 12 tournament, and they're going to be a team that's going to be coming in with a lot of confidence on their hand, coming into tournament play. But another team that I'm watching in this tournament, I mean, you can't sleep on Kansas. If Kansas can play to their potential, I think it will be a team that's still going to be dangerous to watch. I mean, they play Howard in the first round, which should be a win. I mean, the only time we've seen a 16 beat a 1 seed in this tournament was UMBC against Virginia, which was crazy, Kruck. But, usually we don't see that often. But I think it'll be interesting to watch just to see with how Kansas performs, especially at how maybe pissed off they are losing the Big 12 championship. They kind of got, for Kansas, an interesting road. UCLA is in their region in the West, so I think that's going to be a team that's going to give Kansas some problems. You look at it, UConn's a great team as well. I think they got this guy named Adam Sonoko that can shoot the ball from, again, three-point range and can block shots. I think he's going to be a big-time factor for this UConn team if they want to make a run in the tournament. And, I mean, another team that's doing hot right now is in the East region at the moment is Duke. I mean, Duke just came off winning the ACC tournament, and they are right now coming in with a lot of confidence. They're coming in. They have a great-time player. I can't remember the name at the moment, but he's very active, Kruck, and he can do a big amount of damage for Duke. They got Oral Roberts in the first round, and I think that's going to be a matchup to watch looking into it. Memphis has a chance to play Purdue in the second round in Columbus. So I think that's another one, too. Memphis coming in with a little hot momentum. And, my boy Ayers is over here trying to not listen. He's not paying attention. But I will talk about Michigan State as well. Michigan State, they playing USC. I think Michigan State coming into it, they didn't have probably the Big Ten tournament they want, right? But I think they're going to be a little bit more confident going in because they have to play Marquette in the next round. So looking at it, the Final Four is going to be tough. I don't really have my predictions just yet, Kruck, because I still got to figure out my bracket. But Arizona, Alabama, those are going to be top ones in the South region to keep an eye on. In the East, if Purdue can keep doing well, they might have a shot. But I think Duke could find a way to beat them, possibly in the Sweet 16 matchup. Looking at it in the Midwest, Houston. I mean, Houston is a team when they are fully healthy. Marcus Sasser is injured, so that's a big-time injury for Houston and this team. I think that's going to be something to watch as we go into this tournament. How is Houston going to play without Marcus Sasser, their star player? And then for Kansas, how are they going to perform? That's going to be an interesting dynamic to watch with these one seeds. And a team that I'm just not sleeping on either is VCU as well. They just went into, I believe, the Atlantic 10 Conference Championship. So they're going to be a team that's going to be hot going into tournament play. So it's going to be a lot of drama happening in the men's bracket for sure, Kruck. Yeah, Kruck, now looking here at the NBA standings right here at the moment, looking at the top seeds here in the Eastern Conference, right now, Milwaukee Bucks are 48-19 in the first spot. The second spot goes to the Boston Celtics at 47-21. The Sixers right now at the third spot at 45-22. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in the fourth spot right now, 43-27. The Nets at the fifth spot, 39-29. And then the Knicks round out the top six at 40-30. So looking at least the top six in the Eastern Conference, again, the teams that are still being hot right now are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. They're two of the top teams. Right now, Milwaukee had a tough loss to the Warriors, Kruck, in Golden State. And usually we've talked about Golden State the entire year, right? They're hot when they're at home, but when they're on the road, they're an entire different team. Looking at it, Golden State's the sixth spot right now in the Western Conference. They're right now 28-7 at home and then 7-26 at the road. So that is a problem. You got to find a way to get road wins here if you want to be a contender for Golden State as they've been in the past couple of years. But I think right now, still the Boston Celtics are my team to pick. I mean, I've always talked about Jason Tatum, how he plays, and they got a lot of great role players as well. And I think that's how the Celtics are built. And speaking of winning on the road, they're 21-12 on the road. So that's, again, a winning percentage that's going to help out them going into this season. I mean, I mentioned my New York Knicks, right? We talked about on the podcast with my Knicks, right? The Knicks were a team that weren't hot a couple periods of time, but they found a way to get back into the spotlight. And for the Knicks, I think they're doing well with how Julius Randle is playing. Julius Randle is playing at a high level right now, and I think still Jalen Brunson is that guy. So if the Knicks can keep finding a way as we're getting closer and closer to playoff time here, Kruk, I think they're going to be a big-time threat to the teams like the Celtics, the Bucks, and even the Sixers, for that matter, with Joel Embiid and James Harden. Looking at it, though, back in the Western Conference, it's going to be interesting to me how the Phoenix Suns play, right? The Phoenix Suns lost Kevin Durant, just didn't even shoot around, right? He twisted his ankle in a shoot around, which is crazy to me. And hopefully they said he'll be out for 2 to 3 weeks. So how does that affect the Suns going into tournament play? But I think the Sacramento Kings, how they're playing right now, is they are an entire different level right now. Again, we talk about the Kings like, wait, how are the Sacramento Kings up there in the Western Conference? Well, they're doing it right now with their star players and De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is coming out and playing at a different level. Came out of the University of Kentucky, and he can just shoot the ball anywhere. And I think the pickup, a lot of people still haven't talked about, is Domantas Sabonis pickup from the Pacers coming into the Kings. I think that is going to be still a big pickup for this Kings team. As they get more towards playoff time, he is going to be a big-time threat for them to make a run. And looking at the other standings in the Western Conference specifically, the Dallas Mavericks are in the play-in tournament situation at the 8th spot right now. How are they going to be tuned out, Kruk? I think is going to be huge too. I think for the Mavericks, I think for Luka and Kyrie, they got to find a way to have that dynamic with each other. If they can find a way to get that dynamic, I think those two can make a run for the Mavericks to make it into the playoffs. Now, looking at it, though, the Denver Nuggets are still the number 1 seed in the West Conference, and I think Nikola Jokic is, to me, up that to be the MVP player of the NBA. I think he really is. I think how he's controlled this team and how he makes everybody better, especially without Jamal Murray being healthy for the entire of the season, is just huge. And I think for the Nuggets, if they can keep finding a way to get more role players around with Jokic, this team has a chance to probably make some noise going into the NBA playoffs. And I think that's going to be a threat to watch for sure. And let's see, a couple other teams that I'm looking at here as getting close to the time that I want to get. The Miami Heat is still doing well. The Miami Heat are a team that is around the 7th spot in the tournament. Question is how they're going to be together as a team, right? They're looking at it at their last couple of games. They lost to the Magic 126 to 114, but they found a way to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2 games this season. So I think that's going to be something to watch going into the tournament time. If they can beat those tough teams, that's going to be huge for Miami because Cleveland is a hot team right now in the East region. So I think those are some of the teams to watch out for going into tournament play. And I really like, again, the Sacramento Kings in the West. And I think in the East, I think the Boston Celtics, with how Jaylen Brown is playing, with how Jason Tatum is playing, they are a team to watch in the Eastern Conference and the Kings in the Western Conference.
All right, thanks, Max. And now we're back with college softball. We had the pleasure of watching a college softball game yesterday as the Arizona University took on Arizona State University, and that was actually a really good game. Arizona jumped out ahead 2-0 in the top of the first. Arizona State ended up answering back and taking the lead in the third with 3 runs, and then it was just back and forth from there. Final score, I believe, was 4-3. So
yeah, that was a great game. Seen some young pitchers. Arizona State threw a freshman to start the game who struggled a little bit, but finally I think it was about the 3rd inning, she got her control down, and I'm telling you, these girls were all over it.
And I mean, as two people who have watched more women's sports than men's sports in our lifetime, I talked to you about how the starting pitcher for Arizona State, Kylie Maggie, did almost a Clayton Kershaw type delivery. She would get set, bring her arms straight up, straight down, and then break towards the plate. And you said that focused more on timing and go ahead and explain it.
Being a former girls softball coach, a lot of girls sometimes they get in their head and all of a sudden all their pitches are low or all their pitches are high. So what a pitching coach will do is they'll get them into a rhythm of one thing, just kind of that sets your rhythm. You know, if it's hit your shoulder with your glove or something like that, it just kind of resets your rhythm. And once you get into that, it's hard to break that habit. So that's something that she may have done from when she was a young girl, that somebody said, hey, what you need to do is you need to go, bring your glove up and then get started in your pitch.
Absolutely. And then looking at the rankings according to ESPN, looking at the rankings according to college women's softball, Oklahoma's number 1. They have 25 first place votes.
All of them.
And they are 17-1. But looking at the 2 team, it's UCLA, and they are 22-1. So UCLA has clearly played more games, but Oklahoma still has that first place seed. What's going on there?
Well, you got to remember, you've got about 5 teams that have not lost a game. Have only lost 1 game. You got Oklahoma, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Clemson, and Tennessee. They've only lost, and LSU have only lost 1 game. So there is a lot of good teams up there. But I'm sorry, I watched Oklahoma play. I can't see anybody beating them. They can play long ball, they can play small ball. Their defense is unbelievable. And I can't think of the name of their left fielder off the top of my head, but she's got an absolute cannon for an arm. I seen her catch a ball on what should have been a sacrifice fly, and she gunned the girl out at home plate easily.
Yeah, and they do have 1 loss on their record. We're looking that up right now, and you talked about nobody really standing out and beating them, but that 1 loss on their record, was it just an off night, or what was it? Because I'm looking at most of their schedules. Most of their wins are shutouts. There's not a whole lot of offense coming from the other side.
They don't play a lot of 7-inning games. They play a lot of 5-inning games because of the fact that in college softball, if you're up by 8 runs in the 5th inning, they call it the mercy rule or slaughter rule or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it is truly amazing watching them play. Now, on the other hand, you got to give it to Baylor, who's the team that did come up and beat them, and they're ranked number 16. They're 17-2. If you look at it, the 25th ranked team in the rankings is Arizona State, who we just watched. They played a heck of a game. They're 16-3. So they've only got 3 losses. So you're talking in the top 25 of these programs that just have minimal losses. So there's got to be teams out there that have minimal wins. And I don't know if that's the way they're doing it, if they're stacking up their schedule to get wins, to get rankings. However it's working, I mean, these teams are just amazing to watch.
Yeah, and then to wrap up college softball, move on to the World Baseball Classic. It's still a long way from the tournament that I believe is in Oklahoma City. Yeah. So, just very early predictions. How much do you see the top 10 shifting around by the end of the season?
None. I don't see. I mean, they may switch. Florida State may jump ahead of Tennessee, but Tennessee's only going to drop the 1 spot. And honestly, once they get into, because they do the regional, the regional country for the tournament. So looking at this, Oklahoma won't see UCLA until they're into the World Series. Same with Florida State. They won't see them till they're in the World Series. Stanford possibly, because of the regional bracketing. So, and honestly, Oklahoma State is the king of the hill. Everybody's going to have to come after them.
All right, and then moving into World Baseball Classic, we have 4 pools, as we talked about earlier. And for the first time in World Baseball history, the United States may not make it out of pool play. They only take the top 2 teams out of pool play. And America right now is sitting at number 4 in their pool with a record of 1-1. They are behind Mexico, they're behind Colombia, and they are behind Canada. And an interesting fact is Freddie Freeman has been playing and will play for Canada in the World Baseball Classic, even though he plays for one of the most American teams there is with the LA Dodgers. Do you think if Freddie Freeman was playing for Team America instead of Paul Goldschmidt at first, it would make much of a difference?
Yeah, I think it would. Freddie Freeman is just he's a natural leader. And you watch him, I think he could get the team united a little bit better. Defensively, maybe not quite as good, but definitely on the offensive part of the plate, he demands respect. But I don't know how he's going to face off against some of these international pitchers. That's the interesting part. Is there's not as much scouting done on the international pitchers, so they really don't know what they have to start with.
And it looks like the team to beat this year in the World Baseball Classic is going to be Japan, as they have a 4-0 record, and they have only allowed 8 runs, and they've scored 38 runs. The next best team looking at it is probably going to be Australia, who's sitting at 3-1, but that pool has played more games than the rest of them. Venezuela is doing good. The 2 teams that I was really looking forward to watching in it is Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. And Puerto Rico's 1-1, and the DR is only 0-1. So, you know, we talk about how Pool D is usually one of the more stacked pools just based on where the talent from the MLB comes from, and it's not looking good. It's really not.
You're right, Jacob. The game I would like to really watch is Mexico and Canada. They play on Wednesday, the 15th, and that could be a really good game.
So we're going to now shift into our fun topic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our fun topic. What's up, everybody? And we're back with our fun topic. We have a good one going on. We actually are joined with a third member of the Kruck Bunch. Miss Gayle, how's you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Good. And we are still here with Papa Kruck. And we're going to talk about our fun topic. It's going to be baseball ballparks, best food. We have went through and we have picked one food item from every single MLB ballpark, and we are going to go through bracket style. Because there's not 32, there's only 30. We have randomly drawn 2 teams to get first round byes, and it is a little bit biased if you ask me, because we're all Brewers fans, and the Brewers get the NL bye and the Yankees will get the AL bye. So let's start things off right away at the second spot. They are going to face the Brewers in the next round. We have the Nationals and we have the San Francisco Giants. So the Nationals, let me find their food. The Nationals have a bone-in smoked beef short rib, which when you look at it looks like a giant tomahawk, but it's a short rib. And then the Giants have Chinese food. So what would you rather eat at a ballpark? Would you rather eat a massive oversized rib or Chinese food?
I'm going to go with that smoked beef short rib. That sounds amazing right now.
Yeah, Chinese food, sushi, that doesn't belong at a ballpark. That's something you go to eat afterwards. So I'm going to have to go with the braised short rib.
I agree.
All right, so the Washington Nationals will move on.
Oh, that looks good.
Now we will have the San Diego Padres, and their food is the triple threat pork sandwich, 3 types of pork on it, versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, as a sweet tooth person myself, I think they already have my vote on some of their sweeter items, but they have what's called the Pittsburgh Cone. It's got kielbasa, pierogi, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, Russian dressing, all in a waffle cone.
Oh, you lost Miss Gayle at sauerkraut. Yeah, you lost me. Sorry. Triple threat pork sandwich.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Pittsburgh Cone. I think the Pittsburgh Cone is a little bit better because I'm a fan of kielbasa. I like sauerkraut. Swiss cheese is iffy, but with all of that flavor profile already in it, I like that a little bit better. As well as I love the fact that it's a single-handed food item. You can hold it in one hand and you can hold your beverage in the other hand. You don't have to.
That's what cup holders are for.
You don't have to hold several things.
But see, you put your beverage in the cup holder, then you have that one hand that's available to catch a foul ball.
That's true. That is true.
I'm telling you, if you're holding a cone of kielbasa and sauerkraut in one hand, and you catch a foul ball with the other hand, you will be on ESPN.
So
I guarantee you.
What is your vote? You're the tiebreaker.
Anything with sauerkraut's mine. You know me.
So Pittsburgh will move on to the next round. Let me get these going before I forget. Our next round is going to be Philadelphia and the Dodgers. The Philadelphia Phillies, if I can check it, they have the donut burger. Ooh. And the Dodgers
have Dodger dogs.
Actually, we're going with the
street corn.
Mexican street corn for Dodgers.
You got me. I'm sold.
Nope, donut burger.
Comes in a little helmet and everything. The street corn does.
Sweet and savory. Donut burger.
And honestly, looking at it for $9, it's a pretty good deal.
It's tough because I like sweets and I like savories, but I feel like that combo might be a little too contradicting, and I am a fan of souvenir stuff.
You are.
So the fact it comes in the Dodgers mini helmet, I'm going to give the Dodgers the win on that one. So the top left quadrant of the bracket in the next round will have Milwaukee facing off the Giants and the Pirates facing off the Dodgers. Moving into the bottom left side of the bracket, we will have the Marlins taking on the Braves. Miami's food, let me find it on the list.
Got to be a Cuban sandwich, isn't it, Jacob?
That is Tampa Bay. Miami is actually sushi. And the Braves, who I have been mouth-watering since I wrote it down, they have the blooper burger, which is 2 hot dogs, 2 chicken strips, 2 burger patties, the works of vegetables, all on Texas toast bun with a sauce as well.
Yum.
I believe there's jalapenos on there also.
As well, yes.
That's okay. I'll take that burger. That sounds good.
I love sushi. If I get the choice, I'll eat sushi every day, but that blooper burger, I mean, that can feed a small country.
Yeah,
so
could.
I got to take that.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at a picture of the blooper burger right now, and
It looks good.
yeah, we could feed the family with that.
So the Braves will move on. Next up is Cincinnati with their Skyline Chili Dog and the Mets with the Woelfuls. It is a waffle cone with ice cream and topped with any type of topping.
Well, I'm telling you one thing, Skyline Chili is awesome. And I would take my hot dog with Skyline Chili with a little bit of cheese on top, and I'd go sit in my seat, and I'd be very happy.
Ice cream all day, every way.
Putting me in a tough spot here.
Well, what's it going to be, Kruck?
You know, I like sweets. I really do. But there's nothing more traditional than going to a ballpark and getting a hot dog, no matter how fancy the hot dog is. So I got to go with Cincinnati Reds, taking that one with the Skyline Chili hot dog.
Woohoo!
Looking at the next ones on the list, we have St. Louis and the Cubs. The Cubs are the bow to the pork, which is pulled pork on a bow bun, pickled daikon and carrots, cucumbers, and jalapeno relish. And the St. Louis Cardinals, let me see if I can find them on the list.
Big slice of pizza, isn't it?
Yep, they have the, it's called the Mega Slice, which is just an oversized slice of pizza. I'll go first. I hate the Cardinals, any part of the Cardinals, so I am going to go with the bow to the pork. I don't like the Cubs either. I hate the Cubs probably as much as I hate the Cardinals, but I got to go with the bow to the pork.
I'm going to go to the pork. I got outvoted on the pork the first 2 times, so finally my pork's going to slide through. So thank you to all the Kansas City fans out there. I am on your side with the pork.
Well, I honestly have to go with the pork sandwich, too. I've had one, being that we're close to Wrigley Field. They're sloppy. Can't really eat them on the fry, but I'm telling you, they are very, very good.
And next up, we have the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Looking at the Diamondbacks, they have the 18 1/2-inch hot dog that is topped with whatever style topping you want. And then the Rockies,
Don't say it.
if I can find it, they have Rocky Mountain Oyster Po'
Oh,
Boy.
boy.
So, I mean, you already come to a baseball game to watch balls. You might as well eat the balls, right?
Might as well eat the balls.
Nuts on a bun.
Nuts
I'm
on
telling
a bun.
you.
I'll take the Rocky Mountain Oyster Po' Boy with, the Blue Mountains in the background in my other hand.
Well, I mean, here's something that people really don't know about. A lot of people is that even though it's called Coors Field,
Yeah.
Blue Moon's original brewery was on the grounds of Coors Field.
That's even better.
Yep.
That's even
The original
better.
Blue Moon came from right in that area.
You hit my 2 favorite beers in one sentence.
So I'm going to have to go with the Po' Boy. Mom's going with the Po'
Po'
Boy.
Boy.
No offense, unimportant vote.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I would actually go with the
18-inch hot dog.
the 18-inch hot dog with sauerkraut.
Well,
I figure I can make a hot dog at home.
your
But
vote,
I don't know if Arizona people know how to make good sauerkraut. So
your vote is still counted, but it is a losing vote.
well, that's
The next one up.
I've been heard.
The next one up, we have the Twins taking on the Tigers. And Keaton Ashby, who was on the podcast several times, he's going to know this one for the Tigers, the Coney Dog Egg Roll.
Ooh.
And then for the Twins, it is the Peanut Butter and Bacon Sandwich. Who wants to lead off this round?
I'm going peanut butter and bacon sandwich. Looking at it online, it looks phenomenal. And anytime you put bacon in something, it's good.
It does, but my problem is I like everything in an egg roll. Thanksgiving egg roll, a St. Patrick's Day egg roll, an Italian egg roll. Ugh.
Oh, we did forget to mention in the peanut butter and bacon sandwich is strawberry jelly.
See, and you just
You
lost me because
I like grape.
I don't like strawberry jelly, and I despise peanut butter. I can't stand it. When I buy peanut butter, it's just for Buster. I don't even eat it. So I'm going with the Coney dog because when you think of Coney Island, what is the sporting event that comes to your mind?
The
The
hot dog eating
contest. I'm going to go with the hot dog and an egg roll.
All right, so Detroit's going to take the win over the Twins. Next up is the Orioles and the Red Sox. The Red Sox, if I can find them quickly, they have the fried dough sundae, which is a funnel cake with ice cream, sprinkles, Oreo dust, and M&Ms on top. But the Orioles have the crab cake, which you can either get in a sandwich or you can get as itself.
I'm going with the dessert. As long as I pick the egg roll above, I'm going with dessert to finish off that bracket.
Crab cake with a slice of tomato and a little bit of lettuce and a little bit of aioli. You got my name written all over it.
Hold the tomato, but I got to go with the crab cake. So Boston's going to advance. We're going to Baltimore. We're going to the White Sox and the Houston Astros. And with Houston, everything's bigger in Texas, but are they going to be able to win this one? They have the prime rib sandwich going against the White Sox with loaded French fries.
I had loaded French fries last summer when I went to a game at the Sox field. That was great. I mean, so Sox fans out there, that was phenomenal. But I'm not going to pass up prime rib for French fries.
Yeah.
Prime rib all day, every day.
All right, so what was your choice?
Prime rib.
All right. Well, I've got to say it. White Sox is probably my least favorite team of all the NLBs. But anytime you can give me something that represents poutine, I'm taking it.
Man, you guys put me in another hard spot. White Sox, I have no beef with them. They're a good ball club. They play good ball. I've been to a couple of White Sox games. They are fun events to go to. But, I mean, I got to give it to the Astros prime rib sandwich. If there is any chance that this cow came from Nolan Ryan's ranch, I want to eat it because I want to be part of Nolan Ryan's legacy.
And it may have.
So next up, as Houston will advance, next up will be Tampa Bay and the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians have slider dogs, which are topped with anything, most famously topped with Fruit Loops, versus the Tampa Bay Rays, who, as we mentioned earlier, they have the Cuban sandwich.
You know my vote. I'm a Cuban all the way.
I would take the Cuban. Fruit Loops do not belong on a hot dog.
Is that the first clean sweep of the day?
Possibly.
I don't know.
It
Do you like Fruit Loops?
You
Not,
actually do like Fruit Loops.
not on my hot dogs.
Okay.
Coming into the next quadrant, in the lower right hand, we'll have the Kansas City Royals taking on the Texans. And the Texans have what's called the foul ball, which is just a giant chicken tender. And the Kansas City Royals have the barbecue burger, which has chicken, pulled pork, and an onion ring, all topped with Kansas City Joe's very own Night of the Living Pig
Yeah.
sauce.
Well, I gotta say, one of the best things that ever happened to me was you going to Kansas City for school. I love that town. I love the food. I love the atmosphere. So I'm Casey all the way.
And we love Joe's. We always make sure that we stop at Joe's for dinner. Anytime we go down there, hopefully they hear this and we can get a free meal. But I got to go with the Kansas City.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another clean sweep because until the age of 8, all I ate was chicken tenders, and
Yep.
I have not looked back yet. Every once in a while I'll eat chicken tenders at college, but that's if I can't find anything else. So Kansas City will move on with their barbecue burger. Up next will be the Angels and the Oakland A's. The Angels have the Big A burger, and the Oakland A's, let me find them, they have the Party Pop, which is alcoholic sorbets.
Well, I think that's another clean sweep, if you ask me. Because being on vacation with you guys, alcohol seems to be the preferred beverage.
Well, to put my 2 cents in, I have drank more water than alcohol just to set the record straight.
You have, but the Party Pops are pretty good looking.
They are good looking. Unlike the A's baseball team, they might actually win something.
They kind of look like the old push-ups. So again, one hand, nice and easy. I'm gonna go with the Party Pop.
So it sounds like we have a clean sweep. The last matchup in our round of 30 will be Toronto versus the Seattle Mariners, and Toronto is pretty easy. It's a 32 ingredient salad at a ball game, and then the Seattle Mariners, they have what's called toasted grasshoppers. So let's end the first round on a great note.
Yeah, sign me up for the salad on that one.
Yeah, I have to. I'm looking at the bowl of grasshoppers right now, and I don't know if I could drink enough beer.
I think beer with the grasshoppers would be a mistake, actually.
Well, I did look at the ingredients in the 32 ingredient salad, and there's one thing that will make me choose the grasshoppers, as disgusting as it sounds, and you guys should know what it is.
What's that?
Spinach.
Spinach.
Oh, I love spinach.
All right, now we're back with the next round in the opening round of, in the second round of the Ballpark Foods. Milwaukee had their first round bye, so we have not heard of their food yet. But to remind you of the Giants, looking at the list, the Giants had Chinese food versus Milwaukee's brachos. They are brats that are put on top of nachos.
Oh, brats all day, every day. And cheese. You can't go wrong with cheese.
I've got to give it to that also, because I know that every food kiosk in Milwaukee has got sauerkraut. So you can get your bratwurst nachos, throw a little bit of sauerkraut on top. I'm in heaven.
All right, and I mean, there's a reason they got a first round bye, because they're sweeping so far. Next one up, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates versus the LA Dodgers. The Pirates, if I can find them once again, they have the Pittsburgh cone. As we said, kielbasa, pierogi, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, Russian dressing, all in a waffle cone, versus the Dodgers, who have Mexican street corn.
Ooh, I'll take the waffle cone. The waffle cone of kielbasa.
I'm still sticking with the street corn. Also in the back of my head is that Dodger dog. But I'm going to go with the street corn from the Dodgers.
I mean, I love souvenirs. That's why the Dodgers won in the first round. But when I go to a ballpark, I want to be able to eat something with one hand, because
It's the
like we
second
talked
round,
about.
so you get 2 souvenir helmets.
Well, then I already got the first souvenir helmet from the first round, so I'm going with Pittsburgh's cone for the second round. Looking at the next matchup in the bottom left, we have the Braves and the Reds. Reds clearly have Skyline Chili, and the Braves have the Blooper Burger. That 2 hot dog, 2 chicken strips, 2 burgers, the works, jalapenos, all on a Texas toast.
Blooper burger, please.
I'm still sticking with the Skyline Chili. I'm a chili man.
Oh, it's the lady that does laundry. All I can see is the stained T-shirts as everybody comes home.
I mean,
I'm not worried about the T-shirt.
You don't do the laundry.
Looking at the price differences, the Blooper Burger is $26. But I feel like it's worth it. The Skyline Chili Dogs, for 2 of them, it's $15. But I still got to give it to that Blooper Burger. Because, I mean, I eat one of those. I drink 2 beers. I don't even think I need a bag of peanuts at the rest of the game at that point. That might be sacrilegious, though.
Probably.
The law says you have to eat peanuts at a baseball game.
There's a lot of allergy folks who might get upset with that comment. Up next, we have the Cubs and the Rockies. The Cubs still have the bow to the pork, and the Rockies have the Rocky Mountain Oyster Po' Boy. So, I mean, the Po' Boy, I believe the Po' Boy sweeped in the last round, and so did the bow to the pork. So, where are we sitting here?
Well, here's what we're going to do. Our best friend Rebs just walked in. We're going to ask him, would you eat nuts on a bun?
What kind of nuts?
Rocky Mountain Oysters.
Rocky Mountain oysters.
No.
Okay. He says no, so I'll have to go with him. I'll go with his decision.
I love a good po' boy. I really love a good po' boy. And I've been to a couple of Cubs games, and that pork sandwich is amazing. So I'm going with the pork.
Well, simply because I hate the Cubs, I'm going with the Po' Boy, but the Cubs will advance. In the next side, the top right, we have the Detroit Tigers taking on the Orioles. The Orioles have that crab cake, either simply a crab cake or in a burger bun situation. And the Tigers, let me find them again, they have the Coney Dog egg rolls.
I'm still sticking with my crab cake with the tomato and the lettuce.
Can't stand crab cakes. All it makes me think about is SpongeBob too. I like anything in an egg roll wrapper. I'm taking the egg roll.
That's another tough situation. I mean, I do like crab cakes. I'm not going to lie. I like crab cakes. I like the idea of having crab cakes, especially being from the New England area. It makes sense. I'd have rather seen Boston have the crab cake because you think more of crab cakes when you think of Boston.
I think of baked beans.
But I'm going to have to go with the Coney Dog because when you go to a ballpark, you want a hot dog. And they're taking a nice, interesting twist on how you make a hot dog. So the Detroit Tigers with their Coney hot dog egg roll is going to move on.
Don't mess with the classics. A hot dog belongs on a bun. End of story.
I'll remind you of that the next time you get creative in the kitchen.
All right.
All right, next up we have the I think it's the prime rib sandwich from Houston going against the Tampa Bay's Cuban.
Oh.
So
wow, this is
heavyweight action
This
here.
is heavy.
This is Creed versus Rocky.
This is going to divide the family right here because I'm going with the Cuban.
If you wouldn't have shown me photos of the two, I'd have gone prime rib all day, every day anyway.
Oh, really?
But this Cuban sandwich,
You coming to the dark side?
I'm coming to the dark side. This Cuban sandwich, this and a beer would go a long, long way. I'm doing the Cuban.
Well, as somebody whose vote really doesn't matter at this point, I'm still going Cuban because, I mean, I like steak. Don't get me wrong. I grew up eating steak. I enjoy it, but
You got pork.
We
you
didn't
got
make
ham. You got spicy mustard.
Exactly.
You got pickle.
we didn't make Cubans growing up, so I like them now. I haven't been oversaturated with Cubans, if you will. Moving on to the next one, we have the Kansas City Royals, who have the barbecue burger with chicken, pulled pork, and an onion ring with the barbecue sauce on top. And we have the Oakland A's, who have the party pops, the alcoholic sorbets.
Shout out to Joe's, shout out to Q39, shout out to Jack Stack. I can't wait to get back to KC for Easter and have some more barbecue. So, Kansas City.
I'm going with the alcohol pops. I think that's a cool idea. I've seen a Moscow Mule pop that looks pretty good.
I'm also going to have to go with the alcoholic sorbet.
Ugh.
I mean, like you talk about having another twist on a baseball classic. When you go to a ball game, you get a beer, an alcoholic beverage, and they put a twist on it to make it more fun. And like, I understand it's going to be more expensive than just a normal beer, but like you can't get that anywhere else. It's
But what's
only
more
sold.
Kansas City than barbecue?
Well, this isn't the Kansas City draft. This is the baseball
Well, I
draft.
know, but when you think of the A's, was that what you think of, a sorbet?
I do now.
Well, here, the last one in this round is going to be New York, who we have not seen yet. New York has the Tres Leches milkshake, which is milk, vanilla ice cream, cake pieces, and churro pieces, going against the 32-ingredient salad of Toronto.
This body's not made for salads, so I guess I'm going to take a milkshake.
Hi, caramel all day, every day.
Well, we all know your milkshakes bring the boys to the yard, so we're all going to go clean sweep with Tres Leches. And then to wrap up the second round, we had Milwaukee moving forward. We had Pittsburgh moving forward. I believe we had the blooper burger from Atlanta moving forward. I think you guys outvoted me on the bow of pork, if I remember right. And so that'll finish out the left side of the bracket. On the right side, we had the Coney Dog egg roll win. We had the Cuban win. We had the sorbet pops, alcoholic sorbet, the Oakland A's party pops, and then we had the Yankees Tres Leche milkshake win. So, now we're down to, what is that, Sweet 16 now? Or is that the Elite 8?
Elite 8.
We're down to the Elite 8. All right, now we're back into the Elite 8. And our first matchup is going to come out of the top left quadrant. We have the Brachos going against the Pittsburgh Cone. And this is a tough one because I personally am a huge Brewer fan, but the Pittsburgh Cone sounds more like a Milwaukee thing than it does a Pittsburgh thing, because you got the kielbasa, you got the pierogi, you got the sauerkraut, the Swiss cheese, Russian dressing. It's sacrilegious. It's rude against my own team, but I'm going with the Pittsburgh Cone.
For me, you break it down to what do you like better, kielbasa or brats? And I like both. I cook both. I eat both. I love both. But I gotta take a good brat over a kielbasa.
I'm not a kielbasa fan, and I truly am a Brewers fan. But I'd be honest, I'd eat both. So I'm going to go with the Brewers.
All right, and then so the Brewers will make it to the Final Four. Coming out of the bottom left quadrant, it's going to either be the blooper burger or the bow of pork. Do I need to refresh anybody's memory on either?
No, because Gayle and I have been looking at the picture of the bow of pork, thinking, "Boy, we're really getting hungry."
Yeah.
Over the blooper burger.
Yeah,
burger.
except I'm wondering if when we go to North Carolina this summer, if we should take a detour down to Atlanta to try the blooper burger. So I'm going blooper burger.
Dad?
Well, I'm sticking with the bow of pork. It was designed by Jeff Morrow, the king of the sandwich. Sandwich king, yep.
Well, I mean, he may be the king of the sandwich, but I guarantee you he did not create a Reuben, which is the best sandwich of all time. Blooper burger being second. Blooper burger will advance. Coming to the top right quadrant, we have
protest.
You can protest. We'll take it into consideration.
Max, stick with me.
We will now go to the Detroit Tigers, who have the Coney Dog egg roll versus the Tampa Bay Cuban.
Hands down, Cuban.
I can get a Cuban anywhere. I want to try this Coney Dog egg roll. I really want to try it. It looks good.
I mean, you beg a fair point. You can get a Cuban anywhere, just like you can get a crab cake anywhere. But is it really a crab cake if it's not from New England area?
True.
It's true.
So I got to go with the Tampa Bay Cuban because that's about as close as you're going to get to Cuba while still being on American soil.
All right.
Looking at the next quadrant, we have the Oakland A's Party Pops versus the Tres Leches milkshake of the Yankees.
Woo-hoo,
We got
party pops.
two desserts coming out.
Party Pops.
No, I want the Trace Leches. Caramel. Caramel.
Jacob, we leave you in a pretty tough spot all the time, don't we?
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's definitely fun to be here.
All right, next time I'll go last. How's that?
Every time you go last, we always agree. I gotta go Party Pops. I mean, you can get a milkshake just about anywhere, but you cannot get a Party Pop anywhere. So I gotta go Party Pops. And the Final Four is now set. We have Milwaukee's Brachos going up against the Blooper Burgers of Atlanta, and on the other half, we have the Cuban going up against the Party Pops of the Oakland A's.
They should have made it that far.
And we're back. We got the Final Four down, and it looks like it's going to be Milwaukee's Brachos going against the Blooper Burger of the Braves versus and that's in one half. And then on the other half, we have the Cubans going against the Party Pops of the Oakland A's. Which side of the bracket you want to start with?
Well, let's change it up and let's go with the American League first.
Okay, lead it off.
I mean, I've had Cuban sandwiches different places. I understand that's as close as we'll ever get to Cuba to have a sandwich. But Tampa Bay's kind of north. You know, Florida Marlins are actually closer. But I got to go with the Party Pops just because I've never seen anything like it.
I can't believe you picked that. You pick a Cuban sandwich every restaurant we go to.
Yeah, see, I can get a Cuban sandwich every restaurant we go to. But I don't see Party Pops on the menu.
So you're not going to get a beer at the next restaurant just because you can get it at a ball game?
Yep.
No. Okay. I'll take the I want this Cuban on this side. I want the Cuban. I can get a daiquiri, a slushy, a margarita anywhere. That's basically a melted push pop.
I told you, Kruck, I'd have gone last, but you pointed at me first.
Man, well, I mean, I've been trying out, new alcoholic beverages down here. I had maybe my second margarita ever down here. I had my first sangria ever down here in Phoenix.
And how'd you like that sangria?
It was good. So, I mean, I've been trying new alcohols. I've had Cubans before. I do love a good Cuban, but it is second to a Reuben. There is no sandwich in America that will beat a Reuben. So I'm going to go with Party Pops out of Oakland to be my pick for the finals. And then in the NL division, we have Brachos versus the Blooper Burger. And I don't feel like being a tiebreaker anymore, so I'm going first. Blooper Burger, go. Somebody else.
Blooper Burger. It looks amazing. Go Google it. It looks amazing.
And now before you go off on a tangent saying, well, I'm a home team fan, your father had a tryout with the Milwaukee Braves.
That's true.
So that's a homer team right there.
I know. So my Milwaukee roots run deep, but the picture of that Blooper Burger I'm telling you. Sorry, Milwaukee. I got to go with the Blooper Burger.
All right, and then we're just going to wrap right into the final. We got the Blooper Burger going against the Party Pops. And before we get there, we're going to go back and we're going to look at some of the food items that didn't make it as far as we wanted it to. And, something maybe you voted for that didn't end up winning. What's an item for you, Papa Kruck, that you wanted to win but just didn't make it out of the...
I would have loved to seen the Dodgers street corn. I'm a huge street corn fan. Fortunately, the town next to ours, only 7 miles away, has a very large Hispanic population, and they have little vendors on the corner during the summers selling the street corn. And, you don't get the souvenir helmet cup. You get a little styrofoam cup for $4 filled with street corn, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
I'd really like to try that Coney dog egg roll. To me, that just sounds interesting. It sounds appropriate for that town. It sounds like fun. It's one-handed. And I know I didn't get a part of the choice of the selections of food, which is fine because I would have taken all day to pick them. But if you've ever been on the executive suite level in Milwaukee, their dessert cart is to die for. So I think we missed out on that part.
The one that I voted for that I personally think is a better option.
Nuts on a bun?
Is exactly that. I would have went with the Rocky Mountain Oyster Po' Boy, not just because I hate the Cubs, even though it does have a part of it. I think that the Rocky Mountain Oyster Po' Boy is more unique to, Colorado than a pork sandwich is to Chicago.
Yeah.
I agree, but if I'm gonna go to Coors Field, just give me my nuts in a cup, and I can just eat them like popcorn shrimp. I don't want them on a bun. I don't want them all sauced up. I just want them plain.
All right, and now we're down to the final two. We have the Blooper Burger versus the Oakland A's Party Pops, and there's four. Wow, there's a lot of teams. There's 4 teams in the MLB with an A logo, and 2 of them are in the final.
Right.
So let's break it down. Do you want something savory at a game, or do you want something sweet at a game? Do you want something that is going to be so big you have to use both hands at a game, or do you want something you can use one hand at a game?
Is there any chance I can have my Blooper Burger in my left hand and my Freezy Pop in my right hand?
Well, considering that is around a 1,500-mile difference, no.
Maybe the Pops travel well?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, you know what?
I don't think they'll get through TSA with all that alcohol.
Well, here's what I'm going to do there, Kruck. I got to feed the belly. So as much as I would love to have a slushy pop, I'm going to have to go with Atlanta.
I like beer. I like any light beer, any ice cold light beer. That's my thing. And I like beer at a ball game. The pushy pop doesn't really sound exciting with my beer that I'm gonna have no matter what. So I want that burger. That looks amazing.
And I mean, you guys swept it before it got to me, but I'm just gonna echo the sentiment. I like beer. I like some kind of mixed drinks. I like some hard, but I'm a beer guy. So I'm gonna have to go with the Atlanta Braves Blooper Burger because I mean that'll fill my stomach for at least 6-7 innings.
And it's got jalapenos on it.
So, and that'll do it. The final in the best ballpark food draft ends up being the Blooper Burger out of the Atlanta Braves. And just so everybody knows, that is a $26 sandwich, and I believe it is going to be worth every cent that you spend on it.
Well, yeah, you could feed the whole family with it.
Now I'm hungry, guys. Where are we going for lunch?
All right, guys. Until next time, this is Mama Kruck, Papa Kruck, and Kruck. Mad Max broadcasting in from Houston. We'd like to thank you all for joining in. And stick around. Next week we have episode 50, a big milestone coming up. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Want to stay up to date on all Crunch Time episodes? Make sure to subscribe and follow on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.